Thanks everyone for joining. This is the first of many sessions that we're going to have. This is more of a informal session with the customers, with the kind of exclusive event with a core group of people. We select people that are interested in coming and joining us and have a interactive session about their challenges and issues, or how we can work with them and help them. It's more towards that mind sharing and the brainstorming as opposed to like selling our solution to them. Thanks for joining, and I will have many more topics in the future. I really appreciate all of you taking the time and joining this session. So I'm Kumar Chivukula, co-founder and CTO of Opsera. I'll turn it over to Vishnu.
Hey, I'm Vishnu Vasudevan. I head the product management for Opsera.
Hi, this is Sriram. I manage delivery for technology accounts in Tech Mahindra.
Thank you, Sriram.
Thanks, Sriram.
Hey guys, my name is Kishore, and I'm here to learn a bit more about Opsera products. Thank you.
The topic of the conversation today is it's all about DevOps CI/CD pipelines and what are the best practices and how customers are doing it, what we are hearing from them, and any questions that people may have, and we can help them address. And mostly focus around CI/CD. How do we introduce quality security? Why it is important, and why it is relevant at this point of time. And those are the things we wanted to focus on. But we open up the floor for you to ask any questions. If you want to just to give you a little bit of background, we can do that. But any questions you may have, feel free to ask. We'll just jump in and start the conversation.
I think we should jump into the conversation. I'm particularly interested in understanding the the quality and security angle of your offering, as well as need to try to understand the insights product you have. So that's what I'm trying to look for. Thank you.
I'll take a first crack at it. I'll turn it over to Vishnu after that, and just keep it a high level, and I'll also let Vishnu go deeper into the product and what are the features. So as you guys know that most of the organizations, they want to follow the quality security as part of their release and deployments. But more often than not, because of the challenges associated with the team dynamics and the way the organization is structured, it's very hard for them to bring all of them together in one place. Like you have a quality team separated by the security team, operations team is situated different organization, development team is sitting there. I'm talking about majority of the enterprise companies. And because of that, it takes so much handholding and manual process. Even though they have automation, but they're not connected together. QA may have automation, security may have automation, and DevOps may have automation, but they're not connected together. So what we're seeing is what customers are asking, what we have solved in the market today is how we can bring all of them together in a one common orchestrator, in which we give the choice and flexibility to the customers with regards to the CI/CD pipeline. Within the CI/CD pipeline, how we can help them to integrate the choice of their existing quality and security gates. Within the quality, unit testing, integration testing, performance testing. And the security is nothing but, there are multiple things, but we focus around 4 or 5 categories. Your static code analysis, threat vulnerability management, container security, vault, and how do you do dynamic code scanning. There are plethora of tools in each of the categories. As you know, the testing have about hundreds of tools. Security, last I checked, about 1,450 companies in the cybersecurity market. It's hard to keep track of all of them, but we want to pick the best of the breed, and then and also work with the customers and see how we can help them, and also how they can integrate their existing solution by protecting their investment. Idea is not to go and rip and replace the what they have. It's about how do we protect their existing investment by overlaying the framework that on top of what they have, and then give the seamless integration so that they can integrate with quality security gates in an automated way and reduce errors, reduce the surprises during the deployment, and be able to confidently push the button of the deployment button. So when it goes to production, they know that all the quality gates, security gates passed, and they got the approvals, and they have visibility. Kishore, the reason insights are going to be helpful, if you take care of the quality security as part of the design of your CI/CD pipeline, chances of you having surprises and chances of you dealing with any issues are much less. And because you already gone through all the cycles, and you already gave the visibility, you already kept the quality security guys in the loop, so that you will be able to deploy it without any hassles. And then also you can prove it with the data, and you can also track it. You can do the trending and what is working, what is not working, what are the gaps. So at a high level, that's the summary. But I let Vishnu dive into that, some of the details inside the quality security and what are the insights that we can offer and what are the insights that we've seen with NIST, Department of Defense, and DORA metrics.
Yeah, thank you,
That
Kumar.
will be fantastic, Kumar. Thanks a lot for that intro. Yeah, Vishnu, if you could, double click on that and provide, how Opsera facilitates or enables customer to ensure the quality of their pipelines and the security of their deployables. That will be really helpful. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So if you look at any enterprise, right, like they pretty much the quality or the security, their silos. Some of the enterprise, they have the integration team part of their the sprint teams, right? But most enterprises, the regression team is like outside the organization. They do it like once the sprint is completed or just before the release. Also like from the value stream management, that's where like every enterprise is moving towards. And if you look at the value stream management, like there is some gaps today, like where there is no feedback going back to the product teams or the value stream management leaders, like what's happening around the quality and security, because that is key for them to plan for the next PIs when it comes to the product delivery, right? Because it might be a facing customer facing requirements, or it might be a branding requirement, but without visibility, they'll be focusing only just on the core features or the branding or the enterprise decision that is coming to them, like in terms of value stream management. So what Opsera does is like we provide a 360-degree view across your quality and security, not just the integration testing. It starts from the unit testing, integration, your API testing, and then like your regression testing, and then we give the feedback. So like they don't have to wait until code goes into the staging environment or like into production environment. They can catch it like on day one, like as we are focusing 100% on shift left, right? That's our goal. And also with respect to quality, you can keep adding tools. Like the way we have built the architecture is like we don't care what tools you have. You'll be able to set the thresholds from the Opsera UI, and with that functionality, you'll be able to measure it and stop the pipeline and inform the responsible and accountable persons, right? When I say the responsible person, in this case, the development gets notified there's a security issue. But like if they need some guidance from the security team gets notified as well during the development phase itself. So there is a lot of inclusivity comes in as part of the release management, right? Otherwise, the security team always comes into the picture during the operational issues or something really happened in the production. So we are bringing the insights to all the departments, including the leadership, to see what's really happening during the development phase, the QA phase, and also the production deployment. So without going into multiple tools, they get to see the reports. There is no dependency for anyone to see what's really happening around the development that they do around the software engineering.
What kind of quality issues typically, just for my information, if you can define quality, that will be really helpful. And then probably we'll have additional questions. Thanks, Vishnu.
Thank you. So usually the quality issues, if you look at it, right, like there are like with new technologies coming in, like people are moving towards microservices architecture. With the microservices architecture, the teams are like not connected as much as they are in the past, right? Though we are working in sprint, especially in the pandemic, it's really difficult for the team to coordinate, because like before pandemic, team used to sit in one room. They'll be able to talk to each other. Now with a lot of gaps, with Zoom meetings and other stuff, the more issues are coming towards during the QA phase, like around, okay, I built this microservices and there is a gap, and like this is not talking to the service which is intended to talk, and how can I address it? So they need to see the contextualization and then like the correlation of the logs, where they'll be able to identify that their service is not talking to them. And then the other issue they are seeing is like they build the service, but the QA teams are not aware of the actual design or the requirements, and the QA team comes into the picture only during the testing phase. So having them included part of the sprint planning will definitely help them to identify the issues, have the requirements drafted out clearly on what is getting into the production as part of the release. Most of the issues what we see is around the coordination problem, And if we can address it on day one, if we can give them a visibility, what's really happening, I think that's going to help them in terms of better quality when it comes to the software development.
Sure. Sorry if I'm asking too many questions. If that's okay, I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So from a security aspect, right, I mean, it's all about visibility. I'm saying contextual visibility is what I understand that Opsera provides to the right people to make decision at the right time. So at the end of the day, they have applications deployed in a timely manner, and it doesn't have security issues. So those sort of end benefits, I understand that. That's really fantastic. So just coming back to the security aspects, could you double click how this works in a sense? Obviously, being an orchestration tool, one of the main things that you folks do. How does it work? You integrate with some static analyzing tool, dynamic scanning tools, vulnerability scanners tools. So, I mean, if you can shed more light, that will be really helpful.
Kumar, before you chime in, sorry, I just wanted to welcome Karthikeyan because he joined a few minutes. Welcome, Karthikeyan. We just started the huddle at 10:30. Feel free to chime in and ask any questions you have about the topic for today. Kishore was asking some questions about Opsera, and we did a round of intros. Vishnu is the head of product here at Opsera. Kumar is the CTO, and I run marketing here.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
This is more of a exclusive event that we are talking focused around few group customers and a few prospects and also interested people that are coming in. We will do many of those things as we outlined in the early part of the conversation. And I'll just quickly cover the topic, and we'll give the opportunity for Sriram and Karthikeyan to bring up their questions as well. So as I mentioned in the early part of my opening statement, right? So we have two options. We have a catalog of tools that we offer, and if it is open source tool like SonarQube or maybe like in the case of Anchor Scan or through the Vault or through any of the threat vulnerability management or container scans, dynamic code scans, we will be able to offer those tools and also be able to integrate as part of the pipeline. Again, but the same token, as we talked about it, we allow the people to bring the tools and be able to integrate their existing tools into Opsera. That is also like we offer as well. I know I'm not trying to make it as Opsera, but I think the reason being is that we focus on the category, not by individual tools. Like the categories are now 5 categories: threat vulnerability management, static code analysis, your Vault, which is the secrets and Vault, your passwords and your certificates. The another one is like dynamic code scanning and container scanning. With these categories, it's easy. There are many tools, but we build the microservices in a way. Customer have a SonarQube today, or you want to check marks, you want to have white source, you want to have your own twist lock of a container scanning, or Aqua, or Sysdig, or Anchor, or HashiCorp Vault with CyberArk Vault. All of them are possible. We are trying to build the ecosystem. Consider ourselves, in the case of Opsera, if you were to take for 30 seconds, we are a MuleSoft of DevOps, and we are the Phantom of Demisto of DevOps, right? So you can bring your own existing solutions or the new gaps that you have. We can fill those gaps by offering the tools, but also integrate with the existing tools through microservices that we have. Not only we do that, we also give you the insights, the plug and play mechanism. It's a drag and drop plug and play mechanism that we offer. So in a nutshell, the quality security, the reason why we emphasize on this one, because it's the enterprise companies or any company, as you can see, like once there is an issue, a security issue or quality issue can wreck the company. And if you don't pay attention to them, it can, reputation will go down, and also it impacts significantly. The company has to spend so much time and energy. At times, like companies will not able to recover from security incidents. You've seen it with SolarWinds and the FireEye and Treasury, like Department of Treasury. It's all it took is one incident and one bug in the SolarWinds. Again, we're not calling them out. If you don't pay attention and if you don't catch them, and you will run into a lot of issues, especially with continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous releases. People ignore the quality aspect of it because it's a burden, but the speed of agility comes in the way. The quality and security takes the backseat. But if you can provide the right level of automation, right level of framework, they both can go hand in hand. It doesn't have to be like painful exercise.
So Kumar, in addition to what just you answered, I'm talking about a large enterprise. They have an existing infrastructure. Mm-hmm. By any means, your tool can provide the security of vulnerability analysis. I mean, maybe they are already into DevOps. They are getting into a new age DevOps, maybe. So if you want to do a security vulnerability analysis, can this tool do? When they get into an existing infrastructure, see what are all the CI/CD pipelines and also the existing process, and do an analysis, right? I mean, we can get a report out of it that will really help, right?
Yeah, there are two pieces to your question, right? One is like, how are you going to look into the existing infrastructure? And other things like going forward, like whatever the code they are pushing it, we need to prevent that security issues to going into production. So with Insights, what we can offer is, if you have any APM tool or any the real-time, like a runtime scanning tool that can push the data to Opsera, and we'll be able to give you a report like what are the security issues that you currently have in your environment, right? And that is for solving the existing issues that is in production. And with Opsera pipeline, what you can do is like you can have the security gates part of your pipeline, like baked in pipeline, and you can put a threshold. So like any new code that is going into production, that will be like that will be going without any security issues. So you already prevented the new security issues from the pipeline. And also like our insights can give you like what's really happening in the current production, and you can try and solve it. Right, that's whatever the feedback you get out of Insight, that can become a feature, that can become part of a sprint activity, and that can be tracked, and we will be able to give you the visibility around your velocity of that security issues that you're resolving as part of the sprint as well. So that the leadership team or the manager or the developer, they will have a holistic view of around what's happening around the security, also the quality of the code, and also the current features they are developing part of their product roadmap.
I mean, just to add to that, like they do have a large chunk of Splunk logs. Hope that works.
Yeah, I want to make a correction. We're not a threat vulnerability management analysis company, and what we do is within the DevOps, within the code, releasing the code from code to commit, code to deploy, right? Within that, the pipeline, if we get the logs of the code, what Vishnu is talking about is DevOps and development, code release and software delivery. Within the construct, if they can supply the data to us, we'll be able to provide analysis within certain formats. But if they connect to our environment and start running the jobs through Opsera, we will tell you that security posture will be able to incorporate the gates of threat vulnerability management. In this case, your container scanning or maybe your application scanning can be done, and put the gates and be able to block it, and then be able to measure the performance based on the thresholds that you have. That is, it's the second part. We can do that within the concept of software delivery. We're not trying to solve it for entire infrastructure at this point of time.
Oh, God. Thank you.
I just want to make it very clear distinction. I don't want to leave you with misconception. So
sure. Thank you. Thank you.
So I have a question here. So considering like you're on a SaaS platform, right? So you orchestrate all your like CI/CD pipeline, and it's a different components, and they have their source code maintained in different repositories. So when the job is orchestrated and you run it, so consider maybe a couple of repositories there where they might have stored some secrets. When you run it on your platform, so how is it maintained? Is it like you just pull and push it and you don't maintain any of those things, or it's kind of something is maintained on your platform?
You're talking about the secrets and how you store the secrets today in your vault. Is that what your question is about?
Vault, or even in some cases we might store some of the maybe username or maybe API data on your repository.
We don't touch anything in the repository. When we come to in the case of like as a customer, if you try to use an Opsera and you have your own dedicated tenancy within which we also give you the vault dedicated to you, and where you can provide your own keys or your certificates and any variables that you feel deemed as sensitive, you can put that information. We don't access that. We will be able to programmatically execute those things as part of the pipeline execution. And then you have all the logs within your own tenancy. We only have access to metadata. We created logical air gap solution between customer to customer, Opsera to your tenancy. So we still give you the opportunity for you to connect to the two by connecting to your source code repository with two-factor authentication or keys, or you want to fetch the certain things, or maybe pull the data from, like for a particular application through programmatically. You can supply that information as part of the tool registry, and you will be able to manage it all yourself. We don't have to be in the way, but we just have to share with you in the first time, and after that, with the documentation that we offer, you'll be able to do it, and you can still be able to manage the secrets and the keys and certificates in a secure manner, even though they are located, as long as you have right level of access to connect to each of the environments, each of the systems and applications.
Okay. In terms of GitHub, right? So consider, so I'm running something. So I have my like Terraform scripts or my deployment files in a repository. While executing or orchestrating, I find something, okay, there's a change that I have to do it. Is it like I can make it an Opsera and just push it back to the repository, or it's like I have to go through the old way of doing it, from pushing it from my side and then you pull it to Opsera?
Vishnu, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So as when you like onboard into Opsera, like you'll be able to connect your any source code management tool, GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket. We do offer like multiple options for customers, like event-based pipeline or schedule-based pipeline, or like you can trigger it like whenever you want to like trigger your pipeline from the Opsera UI. So whenever a developer makes a commit, and that commit is configured as part of tool registry with tokens and everything, right, within the vault, based on the event, we'll be able to trigger the pipeline, and your pipeline will already been configured with the quality and security. And if any of it gets failed, we will notify the developer via the Jira or the Slack notification mechanism that we already have integrated. And so they'll be able to take an action on it. But we don't write anything back to the Git, but like from any action that you make on Git, we'll be able to take an action on the Opsera.
Okay.
The one option is, if you want to, let's say you have Terraform scripts, right? Because within the pipeline, you want to pass runtime arguments. That is totally possible. And you don't have to customize everything, hard code the handlers and hard code the keys, hard code other information. You don't have to do that. You can have a generic Terraform script, and that can be deployed using runtime variables as part of your environment. Let's say you want to create EC2 and you want to have a separate key, or maybe something you want to pass it along. That can be passed along through that can be included as part of the pipeline execution.
Okay. And you also can configure your environmental variables within Opsera? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we are going to work with the team, and we'll be happy to, I think we can happy to work with you and offline and share the demo and be able to walk you through that as well, Karthik.
We have 2 minutes, and Sriram, like since you work at the enterprise level, right? Can you tell me like what is the biggest problem or threat that they are facing today, especially during the pandemic, and where the team is heading towards like post-pandemic?
So as far as pandemic is concerned, as you know, like most of the customers are remotely working. I mean, that itself is a big threat. And also, as you mentioned in the initial introduction, definitely they are not sitting together, and that is causing a lot of communication issues as well, right? The communication level challenges, they've already overcome those, and that they have streamlined the process, right? But security wise, as I said, like they wanted to make it more streamlined security. I mean, with a tight security across the complete engineering process, including the DevOps and the CI/CD process. They are trying to consider new age tools, new age applications where they can bring in and try to fix their existing gaps which they have in their current system, which nobody have foreseen this situation. So obviously, yeah, I mean, that is the current situation. So large customers, like large enterprises, like top 10 or 15 companies, they have their own team, which they are building their own infrastructure and tools, but they are looking for the talent, right? Typically they are, I mean, I know I may not be relevant to the other audience because I'm from the SI organization, I will be more interested to see, look at an architects or some kind of a solution team. I can bring into those customers and help them with the people, not with the tools, with the people bringing there. Other technology companies which they cannot afford to build their own tools, definitely they might look forward to bring in tools like this.
Got it. And are you seeing like more movement towards the public cloud from the enterprises now?
Yes, definitely, yes. There are even the companies who are not very much inclined towards the public cloud before pandemic, they are all moving towards public cloud.
Okay, that's when the security becomes an issue, right? Like there's a new ball game when it comes to the public cloud.
Correct. Yeah, very true. Yes.
Yeah, another option is when we have another opportunity for customers, since you brought up the cloud and I want to put a plug in there. If people are migrating from on-prem VMware VMs and that have been deployed in the past and want to move to containers, they have to spend a lot of time and effort in doing that, right? So we do have an opportunity where we can guide them. Obviously, we will not be able to handle them with especially SI support and help. Using our pipelines, you can create, point the entire image to the entire source code, or maybe like particular application source code to Opsera pipeline, generate a Docker image or a container image that can be deployed in the cloud without going through the whole slew of migration efforts. And that's something we can help the customers as well as part of the public cloud and going to the DevOps journey and VM to container migration. We are in the process of publishing a blog around that and how we can help. What are the architectural patterns? We'll be happy to share that information as well.
I have a last question. So can you touch upon something on the rollback? So you have your orchestrated end to end, and at some point at a particular stage it fails. How do you roll back? Or you can roll back, I mean, each and individual stage, or on a whole, you can roll back.
So when it comes to rollback, it's about like, if it is a cloud, like it's all about promotion of your image from one environment to another environment, right? So we have like various deployment tools which comes out of the box with Opsera, like Argo or Octopus or EBS based deployment. So what we can do is, like, when you trigger a build in Opsera Orchestrator, we do have all your metadata, right? Like what is the build URL that was successfully deployed last time. So using that metadata, we'll be able to provide you an option for you to set up the rollback in case of a failure in each environment. So like we see there is a failure, using your configuration, we will be able to roll back to the code that you want to have as part of the rollback deployment.
It's going to be kind of a plug and play, or
it's everything. The entire pipeline is plug and play. You don't have to write any custom code. And you have on top of it, as Kumar mentioned, you have on top of it, you'll be able to execute some runtime variable or pass on any environment variables as well.
So you could orchestrate kind of in a workflow. I'm saying, like, okay, in any stage of this process, if something fails, I want to roll back these stages and to this version, right?
Yes, that's something, the nested pipeline we call it. You can put in an if else condition. Okay, this fails, execute this pipeline, this particular stages. If successful, proceed with the pipeline.
The rollback is something that we have to work with your use cases, because it's nested and parallel stages can be definitely can help you and do that. Rollback is, we don't know your code, we don't know your things, right? But your secret sauce that you have, and we can certainly work with you. But in general, not only we have integration to quality security, we also integration to collaboration tools like Jira, Slack, and Teams and whatnot. We will be able to give you the visibility and also like give you the comprehensive analysis of what really happened inside that. You also have a console logs for each stage and each activity logs as well in the pipeline. So you can troubleshoot it much faster than what you do today, like, because you have to log into 15 different consoles. With an Opsera, you have all of them in one place.
And how about you integrate from a Jira ticket? So something moves, a ticket moves to a kind of a closed stage or deployment stage. You could trigger that build within Opsera, or?
Yeah, so we do have Jira lifecycle management concept. What we do is, when you construct a pipeline and you want to put a Jira approver in between stage, right? Like, after the QA, create a Jira approval to move the code into production. we'll be able to do that. So upon approval in the Jira, we'll be able to push the code to the next stage. That's one option. And the second option, what we have is, you can also configure your Jira that way. Like if something happens, like something goes wrong in the pipeline, we'll be able to create an automated Jira ticket for you, like from the orchestrator with the logs, and we'll stop the pipeline. And then like once the team completes and like recommit the code, we look for the Jira ticket status, and if the ticket is still open and if the issue is fixed, we'll close it, and then like we'll proceed with the pipeline. Or if the issue exists, we'll update the ticket with the log comments, or if there is a new issue coming in, we'll close the ticket and open a new Jira ticket for the team to look into it.
Okay. And how is there a way, like it's just a stupid question. So if a user clicks double time on the build, do you have some mechanism to stop it, or it triggers to execution?
So once the pipeline gets triggered, you will not be able to technically like re-click it, just like Jenkins.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just there's no. It's like pulling the trigger, right? So.
Hey guys, I had one question. So for example, if a customer is using their on-premise CI setup, and only for deploy they're using cloud provider, for example, AWS Core Deploy, you still provide the orchestration across that entire pipeline.
That is right. We kind of basically they have to register AWS code deploy along with Jenkins that they have, or whatever the team city, into Opsera tool registry, and then they give the endpoints and then be able to construct the pipeline.
Okay. And
so
for example,
that's the value proposition that we have, right? We're not saying that you just have to use the tools that we offer. It's a black box. So you can bring your tools, bring your current existing things. Some of the microservices, some of the aspects we have to look into it, because there will be corner cases. We're not saying that every corner case has been addressed, but for the most part, we support that use case that you just brought. For most of the cases, that is absolutely possible with Opsera.
Yeah, sure. So because AWS especially has everything modularized. I mean, they stand on their own, like Azure DevOps, right? They have everything in their, closely integrated, and there is a kind of non-visible orchestration layer. The best they have is CodeStar. It does some level of abstraction on the AWS individual components. So have you guys, if a customer has the end-to-end pipeline defined by, when I say pipeline, I'm starting from the code commit, and then code build, code deploy. Can you guys stand on the top of it as an orchestration layer? And so it's just a question.
So I think, again, as I mentioned, right, we are tool agnostic, cloud agnostic, but at the same token, if the pipeline is already constructed within AWS completely, right, how do you stay on top of it? There are ways we can do the brownfield and greenfield use cases for us. We consider as more of a brownfield. We can integrate with them and add missing components, or like, for example, in the AWS, they don't offer the quality security gates natively to all the tools that you want, right? Whatever AWS offer, you have it. Same thing with Azure, same thing with Google. And you can construct a pipeline, but you have to use the tools that they have. You can bring some of the tools, but you have to write the glue code. So instead of writing the glue code and integration, Opsera can help you remove that additional friction point, and then be able to connect the dots and provide the visibility, and then provide the logs and insights on top of it. So it is totally possible, but again, it depends on the use case. We have one of the customer that requested us to connect the dots between their on-prem or the cloud version of their CI, plus also Azure DevOps, and then want to bring all the logs in one place and be able to provide the visibility. So that's something that's totally possible. Another customer, they just want to see how well they're running the environment, and which is also possible. So it depends on the customer needs and use case, but over a period of time, we do expect our much richer library. Eventually, like to people like Sriram and the SIs, we will partner with them and some of the key customers be able to open the SDK and let the customer build their own things. And right now, we're trying to manage it and to provide the microservices in a plug and play manner, to Karthik's point. and without writing any glue code, because we want the customer to focus on writing their code that is important for them, as opposed to connecting the dots, connecting the tools, and integrating the tools, orchestrating them.
Yeah, especially this use case might come very handy when the customer runs in multi-cloud environment. Right? They have GCP and AWS, and they will have two different processes. And Opsera can be an abstract layer sitting on top of it, managing the pipeline and deploying the code at the same time to do two different clouds. And that also reduces the learning curve when it comes to the DevOps teams, right? Like managing different clouds with respect to DevOps process.
Just within Azure, there are Azure pipelines, Azure DevOps, GitOps. Which one you're going to pick, right? So we're not calling them out, and we like Azure, but it's hard. It's hard, and if you want, it's not a one thing or other. There's so many variations in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, guys. Just one last question from me. You were talking about this rollbacks and Karthikeyan about that. I mean, there might be tools, deployment tools that already provides stage level or complete rollback. What value addition does Opsera provide on top of such tools?
So we are bringing native integration to your ITSM. So that way, like, so other tools, if you look at it, right, like not all tools give your automated or standard change or configuration management when the deployment happens and they roll back. There has to be someone who has to go update all the configurations, configuration items, and the change ticket about the rollback, right, and mark that change has failed. With Opsera, like we bring in the native integration to ServiceNow or with the Jira, we'll be able to tell you what happened, and if there is a rollback, we'll update back all the configuration items and keep you updated with what really happened, and like you'll also be able to get to see all the logs within the portal itself.
I think that a couple of things, right? We're not saying that we are the rollback tool. We are saying that we integrate with multiple CD tools, be it Spinnaker, be it Argo, be it AWS, be it Google, or be it Azure, or Octopus, whatever the tool that you have. We will give you the same functionality that the tool offer, but also give the insights on top of it. That's another thing, besides the change management and configuration management. And third thing is, you have a way to change the tools. Tomorrow you don't like Octopus, and if you can use Opsera as the vehicle to manage it, you'll be able to move things around. Like one of the customer we talked to, like one of the large DDI vendor, the customer that they were struggling to migrate from Spinnaker to Argo CD. And it's not easy, right? Once you adopt a tool, if something is not working, how do you move from Spinnaker to Argo CD in a fleet of servers and fleet of deployments? And we have to go and manually edit each and every configuration. If you have an abstraction layer like us, we can help you, give you the coverage and additional value addition. The last one, which we are working on it, we can integrate with the APM tools and be able to tell you the benchmarking, collect the benchmarking data, and be able to compare and contrast, compare to the previous build to the current build. If there is a deviation, and we will give you the warning in the initial stage. And if you want us to take an action and to abort the build or maybe stop the build, and we can do that. That's something that we are working on it. We don't have the feature, and it's part of the next couple of sprints that we're going to have.
Yeah. So touching upon the rollback, right? So how is it like I have to orchestrate and say, okay, you have to go to this my like Artifactory or to my own systems where my image is there, or I have to point to which version you have to deploy, or I can say, okay, Opsera, whatever this particular section's previous version, go pick that and deploy.
Right. That's a nested pipeline condition, right? Like as I said, if you have your change management integrated into the system, and we usually don't want to deploy like three versions before to deploy it into production, right? We obviously want to deploy the last successful deployment. So that's a default threshold that we keep it. But in top of it, like if you are having blue-green deployment and you want to switch it between blue-green deployment, you can always do that as well by choosing the build artifact URL.
How is it go? How do we have to kind of?
So like it depends on like what you use, right? Like if you're using ECR or an Artifactory or an XS, you can provide that artifact URL in the pipeline.
No, that's what I'm saying. I have to script all those things again and say,
not
okay,
script. You have to provide the endpoint for us. Endpoint of that.
What I'm asking is it like it can see the particular maybe consider deployment to EKS, that particular section, whatever the log of within Opsera, the previous successful deployment. In Jenkins, you have your last successful workspace, right? So that you can go and deploy it. So can you do it that way, or again?
That's what I said. By default, the last successful deployment, the URL, that's what we'll look into it. On top of it, if you want to do it like something else beyond it, right? That's when like you can input your own version, right, from the ECR image, and you'll be able to deploy it. So the second situation will arise in like in a condition there is a production issue, and like you deployed a code without using Opsera through manually, right? Like from SSH or something else. In that case, Opsera will not have the data for you. So what we ask is, during that situation, give us the endpoint of the build artifact URL that is stored in Nexus or artifact or in ECR that you have deployed manually. That way we will be able to pull it and deploy it back.
Yeah, since you touched upon the Artfix, so how do you, generally when you script or orchestrate your job, you point it to your like dev repository or certain environments aligned repository. For Artfix, it's a new branch that you created. So is it just you just change the branch, or you have to entirely script it?
So you just have to like, there is a drop down for you in the pipeline. Happy to give you a deep dive demo on that. If you look at Opsera UI pipeline point of view, everything is drop down or like a text field, right? You can drop down, do a drop down and identify the branch that you want to deploy it, and then we'll be able to take it from that.
Okay.
You can rearrange the steps basically. Like for example, if you want to deploy something that is already there from the backup, or maybe some recovery aspect of that you want to do it from the different branch to previous version of that, all you have to do is rearrange the steps inside the workflow in a dynamic fashion. You can run the pipeline exactly the same way, but instead of doing from the QA to production, maybe like you come doing from the backup to production.
Is there a kind of a lockdown you can do it to your pipeline? For example, there is an Artfix that is running. We don't want any kind of a Jira trigger, ticket submission, and it triggers the job. So we want to lock down for certain times that you could do.
Yeah. So as we said, right, like once the pipeline is in execution mode, even if there is a new commit that comes in, the pipeline is not going to trigger automatically. Right. That's one thing. And also like for the production environment, you can have rollback and you can restrict it.
Yeah, what you're saying is, can you put a moratorium period on top of all the pipelines? That request came in from a couple of customers. How do we stop the production deployments as part of that? That's something you can configure today. Like for example, you can disable the step for all the pipelines that you have. You can go and disable the production step, and somebody try to deploy it, they can't really do anything.
Okay. Can you touch upon on the access level? So how was it like? Was it only the actual like person who's going to take care of deployment, or we can give access to developers so that they can know like which the logs and which section it failed and get a deep dive on or insight on what is happening? You control which section they can view or edit, run. Those kind of access is there, or is it general access?
Yeah, in the pipeline, like we have access in such a way that like you can set up, for instance, you have a fresher joining your team and you don't want them to have production deployment access. You can add them to a group in such a way they will not be able to execute that particular pipeline, but they'll be able to see the steps and they'll be able to see the logs, what really happened. Right? And similarly, you can have the release managers alone having access to the production. You can have the development team to have access to push the code into the staging environment.
Okay.
But the insight wise, like we can give insights across everybody because they're not logging into the system through SSH, or they don't need access to any of those tools, right? This is just the read-only logs. They can look into it and they can understand what's really happening around the DevOps process that you have put in place.
In terms of like a dashboard or a metrics view, what kind of things you provide? Is it like time period of or a pipeline, how successful it is running, or how frequent it was failing, those kind of data?
Yeah, we cover like a bunch of KPIs, like 85 plus KPIs across the DevOps process, starting from planning to deployment. And we are also like bringing the KPIs out of the box, which what DORA says it's a critical KPIs, and also like from NIST and other DevOps forums and institutes which they're talking about, right? The critical KPIs. So from the planning, you'll be able to extract data from all your Jira and see like what's really happening with the particular sprint and like what kind of product, the features that is going in. And you'll be able to see the build KPIs, especially to like how long it took for a build to complete and what is the successful builds and what are the failure builds. And you will have dedicated dashboard for SecOps, which talks about only around the security for static code analysis and then your container scanner, TVMs. And we do have quality dashboard where you can see across all the quality areas, right? Like starting from unit testing, you have integration testing or the Selenium. All these KPIs comes under the dashboard. And also the last one is the operations, where you can measure your deployment as well. What really happened in a deployment, what are the KPIs, and how the deployment really happened and how long it took, and then you can make a decision accordingly.
Okay, yeah, you touched upon the job status. So does the dashboard can show like, so if we have like 50 or hundreds of job ops or pipelines running, can it say like, okay, how many are in running or how many failed maybe last 1 hour or 24 hours to have an holistic?
Yes, so we do have we do have time filter where you will be able to filter it from like last 3 months to last 1 hour. That's one thing. And we are
overall jobs or individual jobs?
Overall. Okay. So if you are a manager, you will get to see the projects that you are managing. Right? If
Okay.
you are an executive level, you'll get to see the projects at the holistic level across the organization. And if I am a developer and if I have access to Opsera, I'll be able to see only to the projects that I am assigned to.
Okay. Okay.
Right. And also we are bringing in the product and project filters with respect to value stream management, where you will be able to filter, okay, I'm choosing one particular product. That product will have touch points with like multiple downstream and upstream application. You can see all the KPIs at one point. Like in last 1 hour, what are the different work streams that is deployed and how is my sprint going with respect to Jira planning or your security or quality or deployment.
Yeah, we can, I think Karthikeyan, I think the best way for us to, instead of us talking, if you have maybe in 30 minutes time in the next few days, you let us know the time, we'll be able to work around that and give you the detailed demo.
I think you have a meeting set up for Friday, tomorrow, right? With Tamil. So
yeah, but that's more of onboarding, but you can see that, but I think it'll be, since you're not there, but we're happy to have a separate session as well, besides working with JP and team.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think you brought up a lot of great questions. Actually, we wanted to just pick your brain and see how we can, because some of the things we say, but I think we want to show you some of the things like nested pipelines and then parallel stage pipelines and logs, metrics, and then how you can connect to the Artifactory, how you can connect to the drop-down menu options that we talked about. All of them, we can show it to you. Like we want to get your feedback, and we're not saying that everything is under the sun is solved, but I'm sure we're missing 1 or 2 items. But having the feedback from you will be immensely helpful for us. And if you can work with us, we're happy to incorporate the features as well. So.
Yeah, sure. Maybe one final question.
Yeah.
Is there a kind of, so generally when the customers, they start using, right, the orchestration, is there a kind of a suggestion that comes in, okay, you could optimize or improve the pipeline that they design, or is it like kind of a quarterly review that we have to go with you? Or is it kind of an automation that says, okay, your pipeline is not efficient enough, so like that?
Great point. And we are in the process of releasing the scorecards. And we offer templates today. Templates, you can take it and customize it. In the next couple of months or 3 months, we will have a scorecard concept, and we'll be able to tell you that your posture around that deployment, integration, quality, security, and overall aspects. And we also going to introduce some of the gamification aspects along with it. So it's coming, but we'll pick your brain for sure.
Okay. Do you have anything in pipeline for the DB side of deployments, or?
Vishnu, you want to take the database?
Part of our roadmap, but we are focusing right now on the SDLC, IAC, SaaS-based application. But like if you have any specific requirement on the DB deployments, right? Happy to work with you and see what's the use case, and we'll be able to support it.
I would say, like as a product person, we will both will say yes, but I think there are ways we can do that. It may not be the way that you want to do it, but because we do have a custom scripts option within that Opsera, where you can use that option to deploy that. That is useful for anything, right?
Those custom scripts that we have to build it, or is it like a kind of library you provide?
It's your custom scripts, right? Like for your deployment, for your database configuration or your.
Okay.
server configuration.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry. I mean, I was.
No. This is a
No,
great
no,
question. I think what you brought up is like also thought provoking to us, and some of the areas like the database thing. We want to pick your brain. I'm sure like living through this pain, and if you can understand the journey that you're going through, that it's easy for us to build a solution, and then you will be able to associate with it as well.
Yeah, just a general thought. I mean, wherever if you go and see on your CI/CD or DevOps area, right? So it's all on application side. DB side, it's very less, or they don't provide out of the box, or no, it's not a simple. Mostly now they are scripting. Something if it's there's something a plug and play, at least for some like Redshift or MySQL data or SQL Server. Plug and play of point that will be more. A lot of maybe companies or vendors will be interested in.
Yeah, we have a couple of Fortune 500 companies that are going to force us to go down the path. I think we're expecting the Workday is one of them, and let's see how we can end up with it in the next few months.